For those of you I don't know, my name is Elaine Poker-Yant, and I am an AzNHA board member and chair of the Education Committee, and we're so happy to have you with us today. Just a few announcements. Our conference is scheduled for Friday, August 23rd. Please plan on joining us. It is an amazing conference. You will be inspired in many different ways. If you would like to exhibit or be a sponsor, check out our website. All the information is up on there. Attendee registration will open on May 1st. Next month, our education session is on April 17th. We will have Brian Bruni from Health Testing Solutions. I know it's a little bit of a cognitive theme here for just a short couple of periods, but it's a very different concept. They are actually an in-home primary care physician that will do cognitive testing. And I don't know if you've talked, to a lot of your folks lately, but people are really having problems getting tested, even some of the simple testing that Medicare approves on an annual basis. There are a fair amount of PCPs that are refusing to do it. So this is giving an option to our people who really need to get some kind of a baseline going of knowing. So without further ado, we're going to have everybody muted during the course of this so that we don't interrupt. You can ask your questions through the chat, and that will be monitored by Miss Kate. We'll have question and answers afterward. So Bill Lusk, he is our speaker today, and he has been in the senior service industry for about 8 years, working as a Care Patrol franchisee. He's in the Northwest Valley. He's a certified senior advisor, and last year he joined up with Memory Lane Games as their Arizona representative. Memory Lane Games is an app that improves the relationships of people with dementia and their family and their caregivers. And today's presentation by Bill is going to explore all the different benefits that people can gain from the Memory Lane Games interaction. And there are different ways that it will help your clientele, and it's got some really cool features. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Bill. We're really grateful for here, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Elaine. Good to be here. So Memory Lane Games, what is it? It's an app, and it is available in the App Store, Google Play. And it is it's structured cognitive stimulation platform for people with dementia. That's our more technical name. As you see there, we have a little logo, a little elephant, and I like to just kind of tell people what's the significance of that. Well, we've all heard the expression, an elephant never forgets. And that is pretty much true. Nature designed the elephant's brain. The part that stores long-term memory is actually larger than a human being's part of the brain that stores long-term memory. So how that relates to Memory Lane Games is that we focus on bringing out those long-term memories in dementia patients that still exist, and also exercising them. And we're finding we're getting all sorts of results that are very positive, and even have some results that saying it is actually slowing down the spread of dementia. So more on that later. I want to tell you about the origin of the company. It was a company really just, it happened accidentally. So our two co-founders, Peter and Bruce, had some, elderly, their mums, as they call them in England, and they would talk in the pub. They actually live on the Isle of Man, which is an island in the Irish Sea. And they would talk about how to best communicate with their mums and what they could do for their aging mums. And Peter said, you know what, my mom, Peter's mom had dementia. And she said, my mom really likes when I share the photo album with her. And Bruce kind of said, yeah, my mom does kind of the same thing. And then, we're going to share, let's do something where we can share pictures. And then Peter said, we're going to share memories. So that's kind of how Memory Lane Games got got its start. And what happened was Bruce is one of those tech people who does online gaming. So he created an app for their moms to view the pictures. And with that, when you put it on Google Play or the Apple store, or whatever, they put it, anybody could download it. So little did they know that people found this app and then started coming back to them with questions. Some they really didn't understand because they're like, well, who are you? Because this is for our moms. And they found out that it was coming from some memory care communities over there in England. And they said, well, can you do this with the app? Can you do that with the app? And Bruce is like, well, it wasn't really designed for you people. But then they decided that this is worth starting a business where there was so much demand for it. And then they also ran into a clinic, Helen, who's our nurse clinician, who saw their presentation one day and said, guys, you don't know what you have here. Let me help you. And she did our clinical study. And we'll view a little bit of the results of that later, but that's how the company really got launched. Brian, who is our business development, he was actually, he knew Bruce, from being friends in their careers. But Brian, his mother had dementia. And Bruce was trying to say, Brian, I need some, help. I can't really, I need a business developer. Mm-hmm. Brian was kind of reluctant. He's like, I do insurance. I don't do apps. But Bruce said, well, I'll tell you what, your mother has dementia. Why don't you try it? So Brian's mother had gotten to the point where when he went to visit, it was just kind of the same recycle every 10 minutes. Hi, how are you? How's the kids? Every 10 minutes. So it wasn't like he was connecting with mom at all. However, there was a game. Brian's mom grew up in Manchester, and there was a game about Manchester. So Brian said, okay, let's give it a try. Sure enough, there's a picture, and it's from Piccadilly in the 1960s. And there was a question there regarding that, but Brian's mother didn't even bother to look at the question. She was transfixed on the picture. And what she said was, do you see this bus stop here, this transit stop? And Brian just kind of looked at her and said, yeah, I see it. He says, this is where I used to meet your father. Brian just kind of said, really? That he was kind of taken back that she remembered that. And he said, yeah, and here's our family shop down the street. We couldn't meet there because my brother was there and my brother didn't like your father. So, and Brian just kind of took a step back and said, wow. Now his mom, she sat back, she was alert, her eyes were open. They went on a 20-minute discussion led by Brian's mom about Piccadilly in the 1960s. So after that happened, Brian was on board and said, I'm going to join this company. So that's kind of how we all got together and had this this little Greek thing that got together. So Brian came over in January of last year, and through a series of very chance meetings and circumstances, Memory Lane Games got invited to the Mayo Clinic. So I'm going to advance it here. Oh, going to hold on a second because that didn't advance the way it should. Okay, so Bruce came over, our CEO came over last year and attended the Mayo Clinic and ASU MedTech Accelerator, which is quite an honor. There's only like 9 companies and it's through the whole world who are invited. And basically what happened was we ended up winning the judges award for the best startup. What they liked about it is that number one, we're not a drug, we're an app. We were extremely simple, which is needed for dementia patients, and that it was actually scalable. So we had the ability to collect data, and extremely patient-centered, which is what a lot of people are looking for these days. So ASU has been a big partner of ours through this program, and they are actually they're in the process of writing up a trial for us to submit to the FDA here in the States for us to get qualified here. So I'm going to try to play a little video. Hopefully it will let me. Sound. Our biggest customer over here, everyone's probably heard of the Benevilla adult daycare program. They're a very good user of ours, and this video is going to show a little bit about how they're using it.
When a loved one is suffering from dementia, it can be extremely difficult on family members.
But new technology is on the horizon to try and help spark some memories. Fox 10's Lauren Clark joins us live to share how it works. Lauren.
Hey there, John and Christina. This technology is really incredible. It's called Memory Lanes, and it's an app that has lots of different games on it. It might seem simple at first, but it was actually chosen for a MedTech Accelerator program with ASU and the Mayo Clinic here, one of 9 companies in the world for its ability to transform the healthcare industry. And for some locals who are using it, they say it's a great way to help them relax, spark memories, and make conversation.
You got it. You got it.
At Mary's Place in Sun City,
Let her have it. Toss it real hard.
building connections with dementia members is what Director Shelley Buckmeyer does each day.
How you doing, Dave? Steve, how are you doing over here? How you doing, Linda?
And now,
I was a little skeptical of it.
new technology is helping her do it even better.
Once we actually got it, downloaded on our phones and our iPads, and we started going around to a few different individual people and trying it with them, I was like amazed.
Probably was Frank Sinatra.
The program Memory Lane
There's like over 1,000 categories that you can pick. Things like Tony Bennett, Elvis Presley lyrics,
is downloaded as an app on an iPad to help people with memory loss.
gardening, black and white classics, Dick Van Dyke Show. So you can kind of pick what somebody's been interested before in their past, and you can open up that category and it'll ask you some questions.
Like Chuck,
Finish the lyric, Elvis's lyric, you ain't nothing but a...
Hound dog,
who loves Elvis.
Graceland.
It's amazing how some of our members that have that in their background, they can answer the questions.
I was right, you did.
It might seem like a simple game,
Probably somebody, huh?
but Shelley says it's so much more.
And it's a great opportunity for us to engage in conversation with them. It brings up memories for them, especially since there's pictures attached to the application.
Have you ever worn a pair of shoes like that?
So it's just really exciting.
And she's already noticed a change.
I'm hearing them talk more than ever before, which is wonderful.
Really fascinating stuff, John and Christina. So this company has actually done some trials in the UK, and it found that a lot of people found themselves more relaxed and happier and able to make conversation while using this. But it also found that with those with moderate dementia, 17% of cases showed a decline in severity of the dementia over that 6-month study. Also, ASU's nursing school has agreed to revise the UK clinical trial research protocol to an FDA standard. So more to come on this company as well. And they're also looking for volunteers at Mary's Place to help those in that program, play with some of those games. If you're interested in that, we'll have some more information as well on our website. Reporting live here in Phoenix, Lauren Clark, Fox 10 News.
When a loved one is suffering from dementia, it can be extremely difficult on family members.
But new technology trying to help spark some memories. Fox 10's Lauren Clark joins us live to share how it
Not supposed to keep going. All righty, let me get my presentation back. Okay, can we see the PowerPoint? Okay.
Yes,
So obviously that Fox 10 news story, we were just floored when that came on because we actually didn't even know it was going to happen. And just great that it was such good publicity for us. So structured cognitive stimulation in an app. What does that consist of? Well, simple reminisce games. Of course, we're dealing with people with dementia. It's gotta be simple if it has any chance at all. Frustration-free design and errorless learning. We're gonna have a couple of slides on that later. But obviously the point is to relax the person with dementia and not get them agitated in any way. It's all about triggering the positive memories because that is what's going to get to those people who have the disease. When they do remember something from their past, it'll bring them some joy. And we've seen them. You saw in the video how they kind of really perk up when they see something that they remember. The foster improved communications, that is really powerful. We're finding the caregivers, as you saw, that obviously it's hard to make small talk with people with dementia. It's hard to know what it is they're thinking, and we're showing that the app is really helping to improve communication, along with engaging them. And also a lot of them will use it to redirect when someone is having a maybe some sort of episode or is acting out in a certain way. The app can be used to calm them. And basically we're trying to improve the quality of life with people with dementia and their caregivers, and we think it's doing a really good job on that. Okay, there we go. So here's the results of the RCT that was performed. This was performed by Helen over in England. Really good. As you can see, the caregivers, 92% felt that the app made them more relaxed. 92% of caregivers said the app taught them and the person with dementia something new. And yeah, you would, with all the different games out there, if there's something you're not familiar with, you can just go in and just play it just for the heck of it. And sure enough, you are going to learn something. Again, 66% felt the app was worthwhile. It made them happier. And 83% the app made the person with dementia laugh. So that's a really, really positive benefit. So the immediate benefits: improved resident well-being. That's obviously for people who are in a facility. Triggering the happy memories. We already talked about that. Reconnecting people with their interest. A lot of times you don't know what the person with dementia used to do until that is brought to your attention. And a lot of times the app will bring that out. I had I went over to Quail Behavioral, and they were doing a little test, and I was testing the app on a lady who was there. And she was busy doing her word search. And I said, do you want to try this app? She kind of looked over, okay. So we played a game, I forget what it was, but we played a game, played another game. I'm going back to my word search. Okay. Well, I found out during our little brief conversation of playing the one game that when she was growing up, she used to work with her father restoring cars. So sure enough, I went into the app and started looking for old cars, and I found a game. And I said, well, look, here is a game about old cars, she looked over, took the tablet from my hand, and started playing the game. So that you can tell that she really liked that. Therapeutic effect, we're going to touch on that in the next slide or two. And also about how it stimulates the brain. There actually is some science behind it, and we'll touch upon that. Another story here about the Bridges generation. We had a lady who would take her daughter, who was the granddaughter of the person with dementia, to see her. As the dementia progressed, the little girl didn't really want to go see grandma anymore. She's like, nah, grandma's not the same. You know, grandma's weird. And of course, the lady was all kind of in a tizzy because, you know, her daughter didn't want to talk to grandma anymore. They were introduced to memory lane games. Well, of course, the little girl with this app, I mean, this is right up her alley. And then she came, and then she would just come in and say, "Hi, Grandma, let's play our game." And she would just come and sit on Grandma's lap or whatever and have her tablet out. So that's how the generation thing kind of plays in effect. It will improve. This is kind of meant more towards, again, towards a provider. But it does improve your staff efficiency and your job satisfaction. And you can even add it to a care plan, and it's a holistic care, of course. So, and we're gonna talk more about how we monitor the activity changes because it can detect certain things. We'll talk about that at the next slide. So here's what happened. Brian, our business development, one of his trips here, I think it may have been the first or second one. He was at the Banner's Alzheimer's Institute, and he really didn't have an invite or anything. He just kind of showed up, and one of the doctors there was kind enough to let Brian introduce her to memory lane games. And she says, "Okay, let me show you around a little bit." And she spent quite a bit of time with Brian. But what she did was she went into the office and she said, "Brian, do you know how your app works?" And Brian is, "Whoa, I did not design this." You know, she's like, no, Brian, I want to show you how it works. So in her office, she had the human brain, a model dissected horizontally and vertically. And she says, "Here's how the game works. The first thing they see is a visual stimulus. Okay. That's located in this part of the brain. Next, you're asking them a question. That's going to grab their attention, and it's going to try to focus their memory. That's located in this part of the brain. Then, of course, if they react to that, there's an emotional stimulus, which is a sensory perception, and that's over here in this part of the brain. And then to top it all off, when they go to press the buttons for answers, you're doing a motor skill, which is in yet another part of the brain. So as you ask one question, you're getting a stimulus going around the brain. Our games consist of 7 or 8 questions. Each time you do it, it goes around the brain and stimulates it. And that's basically how it works. She mentioned, the doctor said, it's therapeutic. And we love that when we heard that word therapeutic. So that's why we use that today as one of our big features. So here's the design. We're going to show, I'll show you a game a little bit later. But basically, every game is the same. You get a picture, you get a question, and you get 4 answers. And if they choose the wrong answer, it'll simply disappear. Doesn't say anything, doesn't do anything, just disappears. And eventually, you will, no matter what, you will get to the right answer. So they call it error-free learning, it's frustration-free, and it's, again, the whole thing is to keep the person with dementia calm. Okay, and it is personalized. Our games trigger positive memories. What we can do is actually we have a personalized game where we can go into a person's life. So crazy patient-centered, we can design a game where one of the questions will be, what year were you married? And if they were married in 1966, that could be one of the answers. The next question could be, what church were you married in? If they were married in St. Michael's Church, that's one of the answers. When you were growing up, what was your favorite pie that your mother made? And if it was cherry pie, that would be one of the answers. Now, that sort of game is a very personalized game, which we need input, obviously, from the person's family to create. And we actually have a way online where you can actually input pictures from that person's life, and we'll create a personalized game for it. And this is one of our favorite stories. They were at a memory cafe in England, and there's a gentleman there named Colin, and he has dementia, and he was playing the game, and he was actually, this is an Elvis game here, but he was playing a Roy Orbison game. And then all of a sudden, Colin says, you know, Roy Orbison was a better singer than Elvis Presley. And people are like, that's true. Yeah, we kind of agree with you, Colin. Yeah, good point. And then he sang, there was a Roy Orbison music question there. He started singing a little bit of a Roy Orbison song. And then he stopped and he said, but you know, he said, Elvis had the better manager. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, you're good idea, Colin. So the memory cafe ends and they're packing up, and here comes a lady, and she comes over and she's kind of emotional, a little bit teary, and they said, what's the matter? She said, I've been Colin's caregiver for 3 months. He's nonverbal. That's the first time I have heard him say sentences. So just because he was stimulated by something he saw, a song he remembered, he was able to, he wasn't really nonverbal, but because of what he saw, something stimulated him to get out of that and speak. Okay, so what gets people talking? What are our games people talking about? Well, it's everything and anything. Through the magic of AI, we can make up games about anything really, really quick. So people like food, people talk about music, their hobbies, places they've been to, places they grew up, places they visited. Westerns, we all know how much the older generation loves to watch the old Westerns. And vets, of course, some of them like to talk about their days in the service. I actually think I'm going to show you what does a game do? So let me see if I can find it. Uh-oh. Looks like it's not there. Give me a second here. I'll see if I can pull that up. Oh, darn, it may not let me do it here. Okay, sorry about that. Looks like I'm going to have to go back to the presentation. I had I'll try it at the end. There's a way that I could pull up and play one of our games online. Of course, the games are meant to be played on an app. So when you try to do it on the internet, it gets a little tricky. Okay, can we see that back? Should be the PowerPoint.
Yep. That's
Okay.
it.
Okay. So here's one thing. Now we talked about personalized games. This is something one of our clever customers did. You see the woman there is now the person with dementia, and those are her two infant children. So they sent us in a picture. And what is the name of your eldest child is the question. Well, of course, the answer is Matthew. So she gets it right. It's Matthew. And then we show a picture of Matthew today as an adult. You know, a lot of times it's kind of heartbreaking when the children live out of state and they come to visit mom or dad with dementia and they are not recognized. So if, you know, theory is if they play this game frequently, when Matthew does come to visit, you know, they'll be able to recognize Matthew. Okay. Okay, and here is so a lot of our games can actually, there's another use besides dementia. We're finding speech and language therapists use our games. In fact, Kate, who lives in Boston, she is a speech and language pathologist. She does a lot of work for us. She is an avid user of our games. She uses our games every day in her work. But basically, you get a job, you know, or a game like sequencing. That's going to play on the executive functions, which, of course, people with dementia have trouble with that. So you can actually go through and here's how we make a cup of tea, a cup of coffee. She works a lot with people who had strokes, who have aphasia, and she finds these games very useful to help with that. Okay, so we actually collect data, and one of the things we have is we actually will have a warning system where if you're one of our customers, you will get an email, and we're just going to tell you that we've noticed something in the data that is a little bit off. So basically here, the client number 6, a company number 12, all of a sudden their performance is declining, and may not be any reason for it, but it's at least worth visiting the patient and seeing what happened. Kate, our speech and language pathologist, she noticed that a gentleman that she works with was, number one, he wasn't playing the games as often as he used to, and number two, he was actually clicking on the don't like. There's a at the end of the game, there's a like or not like button. He was actually not liking the games anymore. So she called the place where he was at and said, "Can you check on him?" And they said, "Okay, sure." And they went in, and let's say he was fine. Okay, yeah, okay, he's fine. Kate says, "Are you sure?" Because all of a sudden, you know, he's not himself. So Kate said, "You know, I'm going to come and see him." So she went in to see him, and she came in and she started talking to him, and he's got dementia, of course. And but she noticed he kept on rubbing his shoulder. And she says, well, why is your shoulder? Did your shoulder hurt? He's nodding. Yes, my shoulder hurts. Okay. Well, now she dug a little deeper and she found out when he plays the game, his shoulder's hurting him. So she called in the person who worked there and said, she noticed that his room had been remodeled. Well, what happened was when they remodeled the room, they removed his old chair, which had better support, and put him in a new chair. So Kate was able to, just by following her instincts and what the game was saying, that they said, you know what? His old chair is still here. Let's go get it. Problem solved. Now he can play the game and his shoulder will not be hurting him. So that's just kind of an example of what you can get from that. Okay, the key product features. Okay, so again, we've got over 3,000 games. They're adding more games. AI, we can add games very, very easily. The offline gameplay. So once it's on the tablet, you don't have to be on the internet to play. The way it's designed is once you bring the device, whatever it is, a phone or a tablet, once you bring that back online, the data will automatically transmit back to us. You won't ever know what happens. And that's how we're able to collect the data. Very simple. Your no IT people need to be involved. No special skills. We're going to put your brand on it. So when people go to open up the app, if you're one of our customers, it will actually have your logo on it. We can do personal profile for every resident, and in your case, any client, every client. And again, you saw what the personalized games for we can do. We can do that. We do need a little bit of help with that, with supplying some information and some pictures. The reporting, I'm touching on that a little bit later, but there's several data points that we collect. And Kate does do several videos that are included with the app, and they're all about training, how to get people to play the app, how to get the most out of the app. And she's very, very good. So I encourage you, if you do use the app, look at Kate's videos. And it's cost effective. So our price is $10 per month per profile. Okay, so here's I mentioned some of the data collection. So we have back office reports. So we're going to get once a month, you're going to get a report. We're going to email you a report, and it's going to tell you how many people are playing the games, how many profiles you have, who has been actively in their profile, how many sessions, how many times they've signed in, how long they're playing, which games they're playing. And if there's also a like, not like button, we'll tell you about that as well. And of course, we'll give you an accuracy. We're not looking for correct answers per se, but what we're doing is trying to establish a baseline where we can see as time goes by whether that dementia is increasing or hopefully holding steady. And that is a reminiscence journal. That is what you can also give the same information to the family. So you can go here's how Bob's doing with his dementia. We've been at this for 3 months. This is what we're showing. And it looks like very encouraging. It looks like his dementia is not getting worse. So that way it's a tool to say when it does start to getting worse, it's a little flag for someone to intervene and say, does Bob need to go to the doctor? Is Bob ill? Does Bob have a UTI? What's going on with Bob? I would like to, if I can, show another video, but for some reason, see if it lets me do it. Oh, here's the game. All right, good. So we've talked about Always Best Care, and Janae, some of you probably know her, Janae Gutierrez. She is one of our early adopters. And this is going to be, she was at one of our meetings. We had a panel and we invited her to be on our panel. And this is going to be a little video about Janae and how she used it with Always Best Care.
Hi, I'm Janae Gutierrez, and I heard the presentation few months ago at a spotlight event, I believe it was, and I said, I want my caregivers to be able to take this into the homes of our clients and give them a way to engage. So I have found that, it is really great for this niche of people that are in the moderate dementia and even advanced dementia. We have a wonderfully sweet lady whose dementia has just progressed exponentially in the last 9 months. And she's had the same caregiver for those 9 months. And I brought the game over. I bought a tablet, put a case on it, brought it over with the caregiver there, showed it to the caregiver, showed it to Patty. And the caregiver, who's been with her, I think 8 months, says, oh, I don't think she can do this. And I said, well, let's just give it a try. And so we did. And sure enough, it brought up such great conversation. The ice cream, the cats and dogs. And she started telling us about the animals that they had growing up, her and her brother, and how, this cat was her brother's cat and this cat was her cat. And, and she just started indulging in this story of her childhood. And I felt like I was right there with her. And the caregiver just looks at me and was like, okay, this is great. And so when she was there, she would do that with her. And another one that we have, the caregiver was like, oh, I don't know, she just likes her TV. And I said, well, just tell her that Janae wants you to try it. And, I took it over there and they do it, and they have she's like, we already have, this caregiver has no problem engaging in conversation. And she's like, we already have great conversation. I said, well, can you just try it for a week for me? And she says, okay. And then, I get these reports that Miss Judy just loves her game, and we have so much fun with it, and we've talked about so many things, and it makes her so happy, and the TV's off, news is off. So it's just been wonderful, and I just am very excited to watch it grow and become a way that sets us apart. And you guys have made it so easy to work with you. Oh my gosh, they're so wonderful. So, I know it was originally designed to, or maybe not originally, but part of the marketing was to go into care homes, assisted living communities, and things, and memory care communities. And I think it'd be really valuable there, especially since you said you can, screen share, right? And I think that's a great idea. But when I saw it, I was like, this is great. My caregivers are on their phone anyway, right? So now they have a tablet that they can do with our clients, and I'm able to market that we have this reminiscence program. And yeah, so I'm really grateful. Thank you.
Great. Okay, yeah, so Janae touched on a few things. Yeah. So we're finding our app is used best, designed for people with moderate dementia. Now, of course, when you use that term, what does that mean? Because it's a very broad. Doesn't mean that, someone with more advanced couldn't use it as well. We find that it's best used on a tablet, because the tablet's a bit larger, easier for them to work with. It will work on a phone as well, though. 20 minutes a day is probably like the desired, if you can get the person with dementia to play the game 20 minutes a day, that's kind of like the optimum time that we're finding. And again, turn off the TV. With this, what we want is no distractions. So no TV, no music, no noise. Just play the game, The games are very simple. Again, there's never going to be any pop-ups or anything like that. Very straightforward. We don't have any sound with the games. Some people have asked about that. We have asked some of our frequent users and they said no. They said do not put sound on there because that would be a distraction to what we're doing. So we just want to get those brain waves going with the person with dementia. And as Janae said, you know, we're a startup and we're very willing to work with people. Definitely, you know, very customer driven, of course. I mean, the company was founded based on input from potential customers. So we continue to go down that road. And I think I'm going to try one more time to see if I can play a game for us. There we go. Maybe this will work. Show you how easy it is. And there is, of course, a search bar, so you can search for games that you want, which I'm doing now. I know you can't see it. Just a second. Okay, can you see the game?
Yes.
Think about fishing? Okay, good. Okay, so this is what will happen when you pull up a game. Now, obviously, a lot of, you know, gentlemen and women too, maybe in their past, they used to do a lot of fishing. Now they're not able to do that. But it's a hobby, and if they're not able to do it anymore, they certainly can remember part of it. So we're going to start the game. And again, here's our picture. Can you identify this popular fishing item? Now, I can't, but I'm not a fisherman. Let's see, floater. Okay, I got that one right. Now, right now, we're going to, again, now here's another picture. Now, we're going to pause on purpose right now because here's the discussion. Yeah, do you remember what kind of floaters you used when you used to fish, Dad? Oh, yeah, maybe this one over here. Okay, and when you're done discussing whatever comes up, you can hit the button for the next question. What is the name of these fishing items? Now, if you get it wrong, it just disappears, as we said. And eventually you're going to get the lures. Okay, and you can maybe ask Dad about these type of lures, what type of lures he used. Another name for a fisherman. Dad says, was I a sailor? No. Oh, yeah, I remember, angler. And again, you talk about, where was your favorite fishing spot? What's a group of fish called? School. Question. What do you adjust to increase the resistance when a fish pulls on the line? I don't even know this one either, so. Yep. Drag, okay. Fishing. And I just want to get to the end of it here. Not a species of trout. Cutthroat. Nope. Nope.
Yeah.
So there you go. And now at the end, we're going to say, well, did you like the game or not? Because we collect this data. And then what we do is that we can actually load more games to their profile based on their likes and dislikes as time goes by. So here's just some clinical endorsements that we have. Not real popular in the U.S. because we're actually headquartered in England, but they've done a lot of work with the Philippines Alzheimer's Association, some hospices as well. Of course, we have the big Mayo Clinic ASU Accelerator over here in the States that we have. And what I encourage people, if you adopt this program, make sure that you present that to your potential clients, because obviously, they're going to ask, what can you do for grandma? And if you just say, well, we're going to watch movies, well, big deal, because grandma won't remember movies. Grandma gets, nothing to stimulate out of the movies. It's just really a time filler. But if they play these games, it actually will engage grandma with the caregiver. So here is my information, my phone number, my email. If you'd like to receive a quote or receive more information, just call or email me, and we'll take it from there. And with that, I would like to open it up for Q&A.
Bill, that was really fascinating information. So when you talked about it being $10 per month per profile, so what does profile mean? Like, obviously person. So that means you couldn't use the same games on more than one person. Or do you just wouldn't have individualized, or you just wouldn't have individualized for somebody? They would have a generic grouping of games to play from.
Yeah, no, everybody's eligible for all the games. The profile is in the beginning, when you first download the app, and the way it works is if you subscribe to it, we're going to give you a pairing code, and we're going to do an onboarding call with you. And at the time of the onboarding call, we're going to give you the pairing code, which you'll need to download the app. And once you have that, basically you're going to be up and running. We're going to give you some basic instructions. Again, it's very simple. But basically you would then go and you would say, okay, which one of my clients has dementia, or which one of my clients would benefit from this app? Say you identify, okay, I think there's 12 people. You would set up a profile for each of those 12 people. And the way you do that is you go in there and there's a list of all the different categories. I think there's like 12 total, and you just pick as many as you want. So if it's like places, hobbies, whatever, sports, locations, very specific games like Phoenix, Peoria, anything like that, you just go in and you pick them, and they will be on your profile for that particular individual. And then they're ready to go. They're ready to start playing. Now, the cost is, it's per profile. So if you're using 12 profiles on your code, on your pairing code, that's what the invoice would be for. Would be for 12. Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
We also have, and if for people, if they just want like a blanket, like say, just give me 50 or whatever to start off with, 50 profiles. We also have a pricing system where we're just going to do a blanket we're going to give you, basically, we're going to give you the license, a software license to do whatever you want with the product, and just do a standard monthly fee. So we'll set it up and say your monthly fee is going to be $200. And this is what it, in the quote, it'll entail what that $200 includes.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense, because sometimes we have certain people, we could do certain things, but we know other people might want very specific things. So that,
And the one thing I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but once you have that pairing code, if you have the license part of our program, you can just take that pairing code and download it to your client's family members. That way, when your caregiver's not there, the family members can engage your client, and it's going to be the same profile because it's the same pairing code. And then we're going to still keep track of all the data. So on the days where your caregiver's not there, it would benefit the person with dementia to play with a family member.
okay. So the app downloads to your phone and computer at the same time. Can you do,
Not the computer. Yeah.
Oh, well, I was just thinking for getting the data, it all comes on your phone too. It doesn't come in a report on the computer.
So the report, what we do is it's going to be a monthly report.
Okay.
And if you want it more frequently than that, we can arrange that as well. But we will email you that report.
Okay.
Bill, we have a question in the chat. So clients come and go. Can we change profiles as this happens?
So you don't want to change the profile. You want a new profile because we're collecting the data. Yeah, if the person, say, passes away or whatever, we just make that profile, just delete it. But you wouldn't want to reassign a profile, because then it collects data from another person, and you're looking at two different people collecting data, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And again with the people who, because clientele rates go up back and forth, it may be better than to just do a licensing agreement where you have a flat monthly fee, and then you don't have to worry about keeping track of all the number of clients.
You mean like for X amount of, you'd say, okay, we'll pay for 4 per month, and then we can switch them through different people if we don't want the reports. Is that what you're saying?
No, you still get the reports, but I'm saying instead of keeping track of how many profiles you have, so you don't want to, okay, well, this month we added 3, and then next month we lost 2. So your invoice is going to be, if it's based on a profile, it's going to fluctuate. Well, if you don't want that, that's great. We just give you a blanket monthly fee, and it's a little more comprehensive because we give you the license, and that allows you a little bit of freedom to do what you want with the software, with the program. But it'd be like a standard, okay, every month you're going to get billed $200, and that's going to be it. Yeah. Whether you have 15 or 25 profiles, whatever it is, that's your fee. Based on kind of what when we do a quote, we'll talk about, those options. Depends on your business and how many people you have and such.
So is the question in the chat box is there a contract for the blanket fee?
Yeah, it's a quote. It'll be a quote that I send you, and it'll show, explain what is included in the monthly fee. And then we just ask that if you do decide to move forward, we ask that you sign up for a year. Because it costs us money to add you in, and if you drop out, it costs us money to drop you out. So
Okay,
But if you're not comfortable with that, we're flexible. Like I say, we're very customer driven.
okay. Anybody else, other questions?
Hi, this is Barb. I'm with Mercy Care. And I just wanted to comment, I've seen a lot of things out there for dementia and Alzheimer's members, and this just seems very innovative, easy, and it really appears to work. It makes sense in my brain. So I just love it. And thank you so much for sharing this, because I will definitely take this back. So thank you.
Sure thing.
Thanks, Barb. That was great. I sort of agree. My head is spinning with like just different people that might be great candidates for this. Yeah, different ways. And Janae, I just talked with Janae on Wednesday, I believe, and she really does love it. For her people, she really feels like it has made a difference. And how does that not warm your soul?
Great.
So
Yeah, I so agree. We, with at Mercy Care, we did a project. I kind of spearheaded a project for what's called Mercy Pets, and they're the robotic pets for dementia and Alzheimer's members. And that really helped and worked just super great. And this is just seems like yet another really good tool. So thank you again.
You're welcome.
okay. Anybody else?
You know what's good is that, with the in-home care companies, you don't have an activity director like a memory care community would, who is going around all day long, keeping the people occupied and stimulating them with a bunch of different, tools, games, what have you. So this really, and it's so portable, you just take it with you, really fits the bill for in-home care.
And it's affordable, which I think is a huge piece. So, well, without any further questions, on behalf of the entire AzNHA board, we want to really thank all of you for participating. We especially want to thank you, Bill, for sharing this really incredible tool with us. More and more of our clients are having dementia. It has grown exponentially, and even in the last probably 6 to 7 years. Keep your program open, or keep your calendar open for next April's session is on the 17th. Mark your calendars. You can always RSVN online at www.aznha.org. And we hope everybody has a great afternoon. And again, thank you, Bill.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good afternoon.